afternoon, good evening. Thank you for that. And then I hope you have had a great start of the day. From here, my name is Emmanuel Anzeribe, and I'm opportune to be the president of FIP CPG, and it's a pleasure to have you all join us today. Whilst we wait for a few more people to join in, and they will join us as time goes on, but we wouldn't want to keep you all waiting. And of course, our guest speaker who is also here. So we wouldn't want to keep everyone waiting. So we'll just kickstart. And then as time goes on, the rest of the team members will join us. So once again, I'm Emmanuel Anzeribe, and I'll be giving us a brief overview of what FIP and FIP CPG is, just for people that may not have known, or they do not know about what FIP and what ECPG is all about. We just met, I'm glad that I met a few of us here at the Congress, I would say last week, at the Congress last week in Copenhagen, and I trust that we all had a great time. So whilst I'm giving my presentation and you are listening, feel free to put in the chat box where you are joining us from. So your name and where you're joining us from, just to get to know each other, because I missed all of these. I feel like this is also a great networking session for all of us. So yeah, so I would start now. So first things first, what is FIP? Somebody is asking, what is FIP? What does FIP stand for? FIP is, it's supposed to be Federation of International Pharmacists, but of course, for those of us that are from the French region, you would know that you will see that is International Pharmaceutical Federation, and this is a global pharmacy body that represents pharmacists from different parts of the world. So we are talking about national organizations, national associations, and even individual members. So FIP is really a non-governmental organization. We have official relations with IPSF, WHO, and other, including UNESCO and other UN international organizations. And all of these is, we have one vision. This vision is to create a world where everyone has access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable medicines. So amidst all of these, our mission is to improve global health. And improving global health for us means supporting the advancement of the three different areas of the profession: practice, sciences, and education. So you know that practice is all about the practice of the profession, industry, hospital. Then the sciences is, of course, the sciences of medications, and then, of course, the education. So moving to the next slide, FIP has a goal. We have something we call the development goals, just like the way the Sustainable Development Goals started. So we have our own development goals, and as you can see on your screen, they are all, the 21 of them are all encompassing of the practice, science, and education. So you're talking about academic capacity, you're talking about early career training, you're talking about quality assurance, you're talking about impact, pharmacy intelligence, access to medicine, sustainability in pharmacy, and all of these things are incorporated in these three major things I spoke about: practice, sciences, and education. So to move on to talk about what ECPG is all about, ECPG is, that's the next slide. So ECPG is a global international body. So amidst what FIP does, you would think that it would be great to have an international community or a community for young people. So we have the FIP Early Career Pharmaceutical Group, which obviously started off as Young Pharmacists Group sometime in 2001. And then as time went on, we transformed and became ECPG, right? And our mission is to promote the goals of FIP, the goals I mentioned about, and then include young people. So that includes our members. So we take active roles in the projects that FIP is also involved in as well. And then we have one vision. We envision a future where young people like you are able to make impact in your society, whether it is in your field of practice, your sphere of influence, at the global stage and wherever you find yourself. So we envision a future where we have young people impact their society wherever they are, and that is why you see us getting involved in different programs, be it mentorship program, leadership workshop, remote volunteering, and what have you. So that is the importance of even this session that we are having today. So moving on, for within ECPG, we are made up of people from, I would say, 93 countries is what we have here, but it's close to 100, because from the Congress, we had a whole lot of people that showed interest in what we were doing, because we had a lot of events going on at different times, from the workshop to the hackathon to the different sessions that ECPG was part of. At the moment, we have over 100 countries that are within our membership. And then we have a subcommittee, an active subcommittee of 42 people from 26 countries. And I'm proud to say that IRIS is representative of the WHO regions. Moving on to the next slide, I will talk a bit about what we do before I will give the opportunity for our speaker to go ahead. So within ECPG, our theme for this year is growth and collaboration. And in all of these, we ensure, or we make sure that there is growth both in your personal life and in your career. And then there is, through that growth, there is some form of collaboration between both at the individual level and at the professional level. So we are involved in a lot of activities which align with our theme, which includes collaborating with the one FIP, which is a bigger body. And then we engage with our leaders. We support different projects, both within different organizations or our member organizations, and then the individuals as well. So through our scholarships that we give, we are also able to help young people carry out a research project or whatever project that they have and are interested in. I think someone, I'll just mute. I think someone is muted, yeah. So we also collaborate with partners to create a platform for engagement. We engage our members through our public relations as well. And then in a nutshell, to the next slide, we have something we call our strategic plan. Next slide. We have something we call the strategic plan. And this strategic plan was something that was drafted a while back to give us a vision of what we plan to do from now till 2030. There are about 6 of them. Feel free to, I won't give you much information, but feel free to scan the QR code on your screen to learn more about advanced the profession. We ensure that early careers have access to the resources that they need for them to be able to get and do whatever they need to do. So we also support and advocate for the inclusion of early career pharmacists in policy making and decision making. And then we also provide opportunities. So the opportunities could be professional development networking, which we did a lot of that during the Congress. We also have virtual networking as well. So at this point, I think I would just give the room for for Gift to continue with this session. So I hope you have a great time. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to ECPG at any time. And then we hope that you enjoy this session. One of the major reasons why we are having this session is because we have our mentorship program cohorts that will be ending, and some of them will be starting before the end of this year. So we hope that you have fun, you enjoy. We have a great speaker with us, and yeah, so have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ella. Thank you. So we'll just move straight ahead with our speaker's bio. So our speaker is the person of Grace Na Adua Nelson. She's a pharmacist with a decade of experience spanning regulatory science, public health, and private sector development across global healthcare ecosystems. She currently serves as Regulatory Affairs Manager at Novartis Ghana Limited, where she leads regulatory strategies to improve access to innovative medicines for patients in Ghana. Grace's career includes pivotal roles with Pfizer and Accord for a Healthier World initiative, where she implemented regulatory strategies to expedite access to life-saving treatments and strategic work with Chemonics on USAID's flagship private sector health program. Her expertise in stakeholder engagement has enabled successful collaborations with national regulatory authorities across 8 African countries and other international organizations. Grace has held several leadership positions across multiple pharmaceutical associations. She was the first secretary of the FIP-ECPG in 2020, a passionate and advocate for professional development. She's also a mentor in the FIP-ECPG Pathfinder Mentorship Program. Grace holds a Doctor of Pharmacy and Master of Public Health from the University of Ghana, complemented by an Advanced Management Program certificate from China Europe International Business School. She's also a fellow of the prestigious Elevate Africa Fellowship Program. Her commitment to transformational
was good. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. And it was good to see some of you at the Congress last week. I, for one, had the opportunity to meet my mentee in the Pathfinder Mentorship Program in person. I met her in person for the first time. And it was a great time to catch up. So it's good seeing everybody here again. So my name is Grace Nelson, as I've been introduced, and today I'm talking briefly on building and sustaining transformational mentor-mentee relationships. Before we start, I need to put out there that I'm not an expert of being a mentor or being a mentee, but I want to share my experience of how it's been so far, and then we can take learning. So this is going to be very interactive. I'm happy that we are using the Zoom platform so I can see your chats, your messages, and then I can also ask some questions, and then we move on. So next slide. I mean, it's good seeing people from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, from South Africa, and it's a pleasure meeting you all. So mentor-mentee relationships. Today, I'm not going to do the traditional definition of mentorship, what's the advantage, what's the disadvantage. No, I believe we all know about mentorship. In fact, a lot of us know way much more than I do. And some years ago, when I joined Pfizer, I met one lady, and from the way she went about her life, her profession, I just admired everything about her. And deep down within me, I told myself, I want to be like this person. You know, I admire the way she goes about her job, and I want her to hold my hand so that the paths she's treaded or the mistakes she's made, I wouldn't do the same thing. So I approached her to mentor me, and that relationship was so beneficial. I realized that if every young person, not necessarily young, I mean, some people may be in their mid ages or mid career, but I mean, they still need some mentorship. If everybody will have another person hold their hand through this journey of life, things will be easy, or things will be easier. So I made it a commitment, you know, to as much as possible also extend or pay forward what I have benefited from. So I signed up to be a mentor in the FIP Pathfinder Mentorship Program, and it's been one of the most best experiences I've had. I mean, I also mentor a couple of people in other areas, and the feeling of being a mentor, of trying to hold somebody's hand so they don't repeat a particular mistake, or trying to open doors for them, making things better. It gives that sense of fulfillment. So the power of mentorship. I mean, mentorship is a cornerstone for professional and personal growth. You don't only need a mentor because you want to excel in your professional life. In our personal, my mentor, I mean, it has transcended beyond professional life. We've grown beyond, just having interactions based on our profession. So it's mentorship is an avenue of growing both professionally and personal growth. Now, mentorship is just beyond traditional guidance. I mean, you want to focus on transformational relationships that will inspire change. And by change, I mean significant change and development. For a number of young people, I think you've seen, or mentorship has become something else aside what it's supposed to be. Some of you want somebody who will think for you. Sometimes we feel that, I mean, a decision is so clear, it's black or white. Take that decision. I mean, because you have a mentor, I don't know if laziness sets in, or I don't know what the word to use. You want somebody who will always do the thinking for you, somebody who will always tell you what to do. No, by the time you get to that level, you need a nanny, not a mentor. Trust me. It is a nanny who will come and wake you up from bed, bath the child, feed the child, and all that. No, having a mentor is not equivalent to having a nanny. Mentors are not there to tell you today wear a white dress, tomorrow wear a black dress. That is not what mentorship is about. Yeah. So today's goal is just to equip you with the strategies to build and nurture some of the impactful connections we make through our mentorship. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so a number of us may have been used to a traditional way of mentoring, but today what we are focusing on is the transformational way. Now, what is the difference between these two? For the traditional way, it's just giving advice. I mean, everything you need, you just go and ask your mentor. Okay, today my lecturer said this and that. What do you think about it? Then your mentor tells you, okay, do A, do B. Another day, it's like, okay, I'm confused whether to attend this conference or that conference. Then your mentor says, okay, I attended this conference, so attend this conference. But it's just about giving advice and nothing else. And then the mentee takes that advice, hook, line, and sinker. But in transformational mentorship, you are empowering the mentee. You are building their capacity in order for them to take decisions on their own. Now, for traditional mentorship as well, it's a lot of the time hierarchical relationship. So there's somebody who is high up there, and then there's a mentee who is most of the time younger or less experienced. Therefore, it makes sense, or it's just in the natural order that the older and more experienced one is always the one giving advice. But when you move towards the transformational mentorship, now you begin to see yourself as two people collaborating and partnering. So myself, I'm a mentor to some people, and then I am a mentee to another person. And currently, my mentor and I are in a collaborative and partnership, relationship. Even though she has much more experience and she may be older than I am, we no longer have this hierarchical relationship. We've grown to a point, and I'll show you in my subsequent slides the phases you go through to get to such a level. Again, for the traditional mentor-mentee relationship, it's periodic and the interactions are scheduled. So we meet once a month. In fact, that's how my mentor and I started. We're meeting 45 minutes in a month, and then that was it. After a while, we grew, we went through phases, and it just didn't happen because it had to happen. There are things that she saw in me. She saw my character, she saw my competence, and by virtue of that, our relationship grew from just this periodic and scheduled interaction. I currently have some mentees where we have this periodic scheduled interactions. I mean, after our planned monthly meetings, they never reach out to me, they never send me a message, they never follow up with anything until the next meeting. And then I have some mentees where we've reached this continuous organic engagement. They have my WhatsApp number. They can send me a message anytime. They can rub ideas with me. They can share their thoughts with me and all that. So we've grown beyond the traditional mentor-mentee relationship. Also, the traditional one is more centered towards problem solving. There's always a problem. Whenever you see your mentees or whenever you are planning to go into a meeting, it is to go solve problems and nothing else. But for the transformational mentorship, you have a vision. Both of you have a vision, and you want to work towards, achieving that vision. The transformational mentorship also leads you to both mentor and mentee having holistic personal and professional development. I have come to believe that, listen, in a mentor-mentee relationship, it is not only the mentee that benefits, that develops. There was a time I shared a story on LinkedIn for those who follow me on my socials that when I started a job in the development space, I needed somebody who could connect me to another person. And it was somebody I had mentored in the past. He was able to lead me to another person who would be beneficial in the new space I find myself in. So our growth or our development as a mentor and mentee shouldn't be one-sided. Everybody finds a way of growing in the relationship, even though the mentor might have more experience in most cases. Now, lastly, traditional mentorship is limited to professional scope. Let me just add this one-way knowledge transfer. So, for instance, you're a pharmacist, I'm a pharmacist. So that is all we want. We just want to be in the pharmaceutical space. We are not looking at living, okay, aside being a pharmacist, I can decide to go read law and then decide to pursue my law career instead of being in the pharmaceutical space. That is what the traditional mentorship is about. However, for the transformational mentorship, as I said, there's holistic personal and professional development. Anything can change along the line. So when I started my relationship with my mentee, she wanted to be in the regulatory affairs space. She wanted to do regulatory affairs. As we interacted, as we had our meetings, she realized that no, it's not really her interest. She wanted to be a medical science liaison. And she's still my mentee. And I'm finding ways of connecting her to other medical science liaisons or other people who will be of support to her in that new journey. So it's not a stuck, cast in stone situation that because I'm in regulatory affairs, I cannot mentor you if you don't want to, or because I'm a pharmacist, I cannot mentor you if you're not in the same career or you're not in the same interest space. I can connect you to other people. And finally, mutual learning and growth. As I said, for transformational mentorship relationship, it's a growth for both the mentor and the mentee, not just one person develops at the end of the day. Please, let's move on. Next slide, please. Okay, so for a mentorship to be classified as transformational, it dwells on 6 key pillars, and I've labeled it impact. So this is the impact framework. Now, what do these letters stand for? I is inspire. So how does the mentor inspire their mentee? Or how do you inspire each other? Connecting your work to your purpose and your vision. What do you want to achieve? What are you passionate about? How do you connect all these things? And in this instance, the mentor will be required to share their journey and lessons learned. And in sharing your journey, that not necessarily mean your mentee will follow that same journey. So this whole presentation is a presentation for both mentor and mentee. So sometimes I'll be speaking more to the mentors, other times I'll be speaking more to the mentees. Yes. So in inspiring, what again are you doing? You're helping your mentee identify their unique value proposition. What are they really good at? What makes them stand out? What is it that when you mention this person's name, it comes to your mind? I find this I'm so excited when people see posts on LinkedIn that talks about motherhood in the corporate space, breastfeeding, and then they comment and it with my name because that is what they know me for. I bet some of them don't even know I'm a pharmacist or they don't know exactly what I do, but they know what I'm passionate about. So finding your unique value, that's by the way, finding your unique value proposition. I mean, what makes you stand out among the crowd? What is it that you have that makes you set apart, And then the mentor will paint a picture of the possibilities and potential impact. I mean, aside looking at your strengths, looking at your weaknesses, looking at every other thing you bring to the table, what are the possible things you can do? And I tell people, being a pharmacist or being in the pharmacy space, it's a launch pad to so many other things. There are pharmacists in the banking sector. There's a pharmacist currently who is an actor. And when you watch his stage plays, you will be amazed. There are pharmacists who are brilliant lawyers and so much more. So the possibilities are limitless, endless, so long as you put yourself to it, so long as you subject yourself to learning, continuous learning. There are so many possibilities. The second letter, motivate. That is building confidence and resilience in your mentee. How do you do that? Celebrating small wins and progress milestones. I mean, I'm very excited when the associates I work with tell me what they are doing. I mean, sometimes you think it's business as usual, but when you don't draw the person's attention to it, they just forget about it and just move on. So, and when you tell me what you are doing, I'm very quick to say, well done, good job. You are doing so well. If there's something that needs to be done better, I highlight it as well. So celebrating these small wins encourages the mentee or encourages the people who you are mentoring, to do much more. They are encouraged that what they are doing is being seen. Secondly, you need to provide some encouragement during challenging periods. I mean, I had a mentee who, for a period, was writing exam, and it was challenging at some point. But I needed to encourage her to let her know that look, writing an exam and it being difficult is not the end of your life. You can always, always move on. Yeah, and then share strategies for overcoming any obstacles. As a mentor, it is believed that you have walked the path before, so you would be able to offer some valuable advice to your mentee as and when. Next slide. The P. So prepare. How are you preparing? You are developing your mentee's skills and their competencies. So together with the mentee, you identify their skills gap and then the development opportunity. What do you want to do? How do you get there? I can see some movements on the slides. I hope we are safe. Okay. Secondly, create learning plans and specific measurable goals. So, for instance, in the FIP mentorship program, there is a template that we both mentor and mentee fill and send in on a regular basis. I mean, telling or coming to a conclusion or coming to a standpoint as to what your mentee aims to achieve at the end of the mentorship relationship and how they can get there, what courses. So my mentee and I had a meeting. We discussed courses she can take initially when she wanted to be in regulatory affairs. We discussed conferences she can attend, who she can reach out to, all in a bid to prepare her for the role ahead or for the vision or for her interest ahead. And then provide access to resources and networking opportunities. Yes, resources, networking. LinkedIn is a very great platform for networking and a whole lot of resources. LinkedIn Learning. If you are here and you're not on LinkedIn, you've not taken any course on LinkedIn Learning, please, you are slacking. You are the only one. You are the only one left behind. You need to get onto LinkedIn. There are lots of opportunities over there. And then the fourth letter, A, advocate. I'm so big on advocating for others, opening doors and creating opportunities. I believe in hard work, but sometimes I believe that when you have the right person who can mention your name in certain rooms, it makes all the difference. If I know you, and on what basis will I mention your name in a certain room? It's because you've proven yourself over the years. You have the competence, you have the character. You can be very competent in what you do, but you have very bad human relations, and you wouldn't be someone I would like to recommend to other people, because at the end of the day, because I mentioned you, the door might be open to you, and everything you do will end up being tagged along with me. You get it? So, in order for somebody to actually open the door for you, you need two things: competence, character. We'll talk about it in the subsequent slides. Yes, so In advocating, the mentor will need to make strategic introductions within their network. As I said, it is these two C's, competence, character, that would make me introduce you to other people. Recommend mentee for stretch assignments, especially if you are in the same organization. This is very essential. And then provide references and endorsements when appropriate. Sometimes just a LinkedIn post recommending somebody opens a door for them. Somebody reaches out to you. Can you please recommend me for this job? Can you please do this? Can you please endorse me for this particular thing? It all opens doors, and they are all means of advocating for one another. Next slide, please. The last will be the C and the T. That's challenge, and then the T being trust. So challenge is pushing beyond your comfort zone, pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, setting ambitious but achievable goals. So here I need to make it clear: ambitious but achievable goals. And again, I'm going to use my relationship with my mentee. So for instance, our FIPPMP mentorship program is for 9 months. I don't expect her to set a goal which will be achieved in 5 years. For instance, she wants to get into an entry-level regulatory affairs role. I don't expect her to set goals for her being a regulatory affairs director or regional lead for medical affairs. No, those goals are over ambitious and not achievable within the time frame. I mean, she can have her own personal goals, but for the purpose of the mentorship program, I need to have goals that can be achieved within a set time. So yes, ambitious and achievable goals. The mentor would need to provide constructive feedback and honest assessment. And as a mentee, you need to be somebody with an open mind to accept criticism and honest feedback. Because once your mentor sees that whenever I give you a feedback, you become moody, you're not willing to talk anymore, you're not willing to open up anymore, it also becomes difficult for the mentor to also give you such feedback. So in challenging yourself and pushing yourself beyond the limit, you need to also be open to feedback. And then the mentor would need to encourage them to take some risk and be innovative. Last one, okay, I'm told I have 15 minutes more. So the last letter, T, trust. Trust is basically building psychological safety. It's your mentee, does your mentee trust you enough to come to you to talk about anything? Do you maintain confidentiality and professional discretion? And this confidentiality and professional discretion is a two-way street. Because if I'm mentioning somebody in the area of regulatory affairs, I may need to tell you some very confidential things that I'm working on. And when I tell you that, I don't expect to hear it, or I don't expect a third person hearing about it, So that is where confidentiality and professional discretion comes in. And then creating space for vulnerable conversations. And in having vulnerable conversations, you also need to know your limits. There should be boundaries, after the conversations, what can be done about it, especially with regards to issues of mental health and physical health and all that. There should be some kind of limit to what you can share, especially if no help is available. Both of you also need to demonstrate consistent reliability and support. Are you somebody I can rely on? Are you somebody I can call on you to support? It doesn't necessarily have to be financial support, but I have had mentees who have been very supportive in meetings where I cannot attend, or when I'm to lead something that I cannot do. I trust them to, step in for me. I've had 2 occasions where I had to do a poster presentation, and it was my mentee who went up, or who took up the challenge of going to do my poster presentation for me. Over the years, they have demonstrated, I have seen them grow, and they've demonstrated being reliable. Okay, Emmanuel, I see your comment. I guess I will address it afterwards. Yes. Next slide, please. So demonstrating consistent reliability support. Now, sorry. In building a strong foundation, we finished talking about the impact framework. Now let's move on to the craft of the mentorship. There are things that you need to do to establish a strong foundation. One, goal setting and alignment. You need to be clear what exactly is your goal for the mentorship relationship. Some mentees come into the relationship not knowing anything. What do you want to achieve? I'm not really sure. As I said, by the time you get to, I'm not really sure, I don't know what to do. You need a nanny. You don't need a mentor. So please go home, let your parents get you a nanny to take care of you. You definitely do not need a mentor when you don't know what you're about. Yes. After you've set your goals, your objectives for the relationship, what will success look like for you? Define success metrics. So for my mentee, one success metric is at least getting one internship. And that's something we are working so hard at because she's changing from one field into an entirely new field. So getting an internship in itself is even a success factor. Then we meet regularly to review and adjust goals. As I mentioned, at the start of our mentorship relationship, my mentee wanted to be in the regulatory affairs space. After some months and some meetings, realized that no, I mean, that's it doesn't really align with her interests and her goals. Initially, it did probably because I was in the regulatory affairs space, she was carried away. But then she had to sit down to assess herself and she realized that no, she wants to rather be in the medical affairs space. So we needed to go back to rewind and adjust the goals. Now, in also setting goals and aligning, you need to ensure there's mutual benefit and value creation. You know, how does your mentor benefit from you being their mentee? Today, I can or I can boldly say that my mentor is a proud mentor of me because I have not for lack of a better word, disgraced her. I'm doing so well in the space I find myself, and she's proud to tell everybody that I'm her mentee. And that alone, it's of value to her. She's happy to say that I held this person's hand, and this person is doing extra well. Now, communication framework, that's the second thing on building strong foundations. You agree on meeting frequency and format, established ways of communicating. For a very long time, my mentee and I were communicating via email, on LinkedIn, and then our meetings on Zoom. And then after we warmed up to each other, we were okay. I think it was just recently that we transitioned it to WhatsApp, because now I was comfortable with her, I was okay with her. I finally gave her my WhatsApp number. So that is one thing you should also know. You don't just start a mentoring relationship and feel my mentor, I should have every contact detail of my mentor. Give me your WhatsApp number, give me your this. I want just because we are in a mentoring relationship. It doesn't happen that way. It takes time. It takes people time to warm up to each other. And they are free to tell you that I don't want you to contact me on WhatsApp. And they're absolutely right. Yes. Set boundaries around availability. As I've said, you can be my mentee, but I wouldn't want you to contact me on WhatsApp. And then you create structured agendas for productive sessions. So for each meeting you're going into, you need to know what exactly you're going to discuss so that you can have a productive session. Next slide, please. Again, for building a strong foundation, trust and rapport building. Now, personal connection to really warm up to somebody, sometimes or most of the time, you need to feel some connection. You need to feel that, okay, there are some values we both share. And I tell people I'm a storyteller because in telling stories, people find the connection. They can relate to me and we end up bonding better because they feel, okay, she's actually shared this part before, or this journey I want to go on, she's actually just coming from there. So I feel that we can be better connected because of the story she said. So there's some personal connection when you share your story, and demonstrating genuine interest in your mentee's success. My mentees know that I am one person who is always rooting for them. When they do something, they take part in outreaches, they are able to finish their academic work, anything they do, they come to tell me, Grace, I did this. I finally put up a post on LinkedIn. I finally took this leadership program. I was finally accepted for this. And I'm genuinely so excited for them. I go on their LinkedIn post to go and actually tell them how proud I am of them. And they see the genuine interest I have in their development. So this is something that if you really want to establish trust between you and your mentee or a mentor-mentee relationship, there should be some genuineness in everything that you do. Maintaining confidentiality and professional ethics, I think I've spoken about this, and then showing vulnerability and sharing your own challenges. Sometimes as a mentor, there's this temptation for you to always think that, oh, I know it all, and you shouldn't see me in my vulnerable state. It doesn't happen that way. Once you do that, then you are being fake. You are not being somebody who is genuine. Yes. There was a time that one lady called me, and in fact, she sent me a message on LinkedIn because she was tired of having to combine being a mother. She was continuing her education, and she was working, and she was just tired. So she sent me a message on LinkedIn, and I told her that, you know what, call me on WhatsApp. I gave her my number, and then she called me. And by the time she called, my baby was on full blast. And when I say full blast, full tantrum mode. He was screaming, shouting, doing everything a baby can do. And the lady said, "Oh, so it's just not me. I'm not the only person in this situation." And I said, "Yes, my dear, you're not the only person. If I'm navigating it, trust me, you can navigate it too." And that opened the door to our conversation. I think we spent over an hour on phone, talking about everything and everything. And she left so satisfied. She left so, happy that, okay, there's somebody who actually understands the situation I'm in. And that was because when she called me, I couldn't hide the fact that my baby is crying at all. I couldn't hide the fact that I'm also trying to navigate so many things. She had to see that I don't have my life together. And that is where the vulnerability comes in. And she's seeing the challenges I am also going through and how I'm navigating it. So that is where, to date, she trusts me because she believes that, okay, I've seen this side of her, even though maybe all I see on LinkedIn may be the nice. I'm happy to share that, and I'm happy to share that. Behind all that, I'm happy to share that. I've also seen a little bit of what goes on. So this is somebody I can actually trust. Now, for this chapter template, I'll not waste time on it. So it's just a template like what FIP has for the PNP relationship, where you document your activities, your meeting times, what you want to do, how often you want to meet, development focus area, exit strategies. I'll talk about exit strategies and relationship evolution in the next slide. And this is because some mentoring relationships or mentoring relationships don't go on forever. At a point, you would have to, the official mentorship period will come to an end, like the FIP PMP mentorship. The period, I think it ends somewhere in December or it's ending soon, and then another one starts. So you need to find that after the official exit, what's next? That's something you also need to discuss with your mentee. Next slide, please. Now, sustaining the relationship over time after your mentorship. One, foundation building. We've spoken about it. Accelerated growth. Now, you are deepening your professional development. You are expanding network and exposure opportunities. Now, my mentor calls me for meetings that are quote unquote for very big people because I have proven myself over time. My mentor has put me in charge of mentorship in her foundation. She has a foundation because the growth has evolved over time. And then we've discussed strategic planning after this period of my career. What's next? What do I want to do? Next slide, please. Phase 3, partnership development. Now you move towards collaborative relationship. As I said, now I'm serving in my mentor's NGO. I see her, even though she's my mentor, I see her as a partner. We are involved in projects together. She recommends me to people for short-term projects and all that, So the relationship, as I said, has evolved. And now I'm mentoring other people. And I also find myself mentoring her in other areas because, as I said, she's relatively older than I am. And then the final phase will be a peer relationship. So even though she's your mentor, now you've grown to a stage where it becomes like, okay, there's some kind of friendship, you're able to collaborate, do things together. The mentee now becomes a mentor to another person. And now I'm a mentor to so many other people. So the relationship goes on. Transformational mentorship is meant for the mentee to also develop into a mentor in the future to mentor other people. Next slide. Now, sustainability strategies. You need to check how your relationship is going over time. You adapt your goals as the circumstances change. I mean, if you used to see each other physically and one person relocates, it doesn't mean that the relationship has come to an end. You need to find ways and means of meeting virtually. And then maintaining the connection despite geographic roles, as I said, creating mutual benefits and value. I think I've discussed this already. Next slide. And closure, as I said, I mean, for some relationships, no matter what you do, there would be a point where the relationship has to come to an end, probably because it's of no value to any of you anymore. So you need to give and receive feedback. Mentor gives feedback to mentee gives feedback. We thank each other. And sometimes you may be disappointed in the outcome because the relationship didn't go as you expected it to be. And it happens especially when it's of the opposite sex, male, female, female, male relationships, Even in same sex, I mean, sometimes females may not gel as much as they thought they will. So the relationship has to come to an end. You need to take time to consider what you learned and then identify what you do differently in another mentor relationship. Because if one doesn't go well and you don't reflect on it, you end up taking that same relationship into another mentoring relationship. And then, at the end of the day, you don't achieve anything. So when the relationship is coming to an end, think about your exit and how you go about it. Next slide. Okay, so mentoring in a digital age, I'm not going to go through everything, just talking about virtual mentoring. So as I said, I've been in a mentoring relationship with my mentee for so many months. I had never seen her. She's white and black, and we live in different continents. We've just seen each other once, just last week at the Congress. But then we found ways and means of making it work by using virtual technology. So as I said, we're meeting via Zoom, sending each other messages on LinkedIn, sending emails, and other, online platforms to make our mentoring work. So mentoring in a digital age, it is very possible. You don't need a mentor who is in the same country or who is in the same workplace as you are. Next slide. Next slide, please. I think it's just talking about overcoming digital challenges. Now, measuring success and impact. Now, at the beginning of your mentorship relationship, you were able to set goals and have objectives for your relationship. How do you measure them? In measuring them, you are measuring them in two ways, quantitatively and then qualitatively. Now, quantitative, has there been any career advancement milestones? When you started the mentoring relationship, at what point were you and what point are you now? Has your skill improved in any way? Your communication skills, your presentation skills, has it improved in any way? What's the quality of your network, or how many people are in your network now? And then for qualitative, you're looking at how you are able to, think strategically. Have you been able to build a brand for yourself? Have you been able to, are you better now in your leadership, capabilities? All these are qualitative indicators, and it's a way of measuring your, your success or the impact of your mentoring relationship. Next slide, please. Okay, I think there's also a continuation. So we are looking at the long-term impact and then how to continuously improve. So getting regular feedback from your mentor, documenting the lessons you've learned. We sometimes we undervalue or we underestimate the importance of documentation. Learning or documenting your journey at every step of the way is a sure way to learn even in future, because when you see something is not going right, you go back to check what you documented and what you did to overcome it, and then everything gets back on track. Next slide. Okay, so building a mentoring culture, for a number of us, we work in organizations or we belong to groups where there is no mentoring culture. If we want to be, we always want to have people in the pipeline for leadership development. we should create a mentoring culture in the organizations we find ourselves. We should find ways and means of having a formal mentoring program or coming up with a formal mentoring program. And I'm very excited now. We do have a number of mentoring programs aside FIP. There are so many mentoring programs, structured mentoring programs all over the place. That if you are really interested, you can always enroll in one. It won't just happen if there is no supporting infrastructure. There should be someone who is dedicated, and I'm happy FIP has a whole mentorship coordinator. So there's somebody who is dedicated to making things happen, and this supporting infrastructure should include us, should spell out clear things. What exactly is in it for everybody? What are the platforms to manage the program? Recognition and reward systems for mentors. What do the mentors get in return for mentoring somebody? Interaction with, integration with performance management systems in informal organizations. And how do you integrate, mentoring into your performance management system? At the end of the year, who did you mentor? Or for the mentee, how did the mentorship relationship make you improve in your work? It ties into what you're expected to do for the year, and then the outcomes are clear. There should be commitment from leadership. I come to believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. If leadership is committed to mentoring, if leadership is committed to building the next generation of people who will take over, we can always have people in the pipeline who we can hand over to. So yes, leadership should be committed to mentoring in most or in a number of our organizations. Next slide. Okay, mention. So what are the benefits? I mean, if you have a mentoring culture in your organization, it enhances employee engagement and retention, because I know that, okay, there's somebody I can always call on. I'm assigned to a particular mentor who I can always speak to, who can always, encourage me. Sometimes, you really want to leave an organization, but then you see what another person, you study somebody else's journey, and you realize that, okay, let me give it some few months or some few years for things to get better. By the time you realize you've been in the organization for the longest of time. Again, it improves leadership pipeline development. As I said, if there's a mentoring culture, leadership is always sure that somebody has been prepared for the next available role. Somebody has been put in place, or somebody has been well seasoned, to take up the mantle once somebody else leaves. But when there's no mentoring culture, nobody holds anybody's hand. At the end of the day, everybody sits in the organization and people are brought in from outside. So one benefit of having a good or a structured mentoring culture in an organization is that there's improved leadership pipeline development, faster knowledge transfer, and capability building. As I said, people are always learning from those who are much more knowledgeable, who are much more exposed. So as you are learning from me on the job, there's a tendency that you pick up faster. Lastly, stronger organizational culture and value alignment. If you see how things, if you're a younger colleague, or for lack of a better word, a fresh or an entry level person, yes, that's the word, an entry level person, and you see that, okay, there's a particular culture in this organization. This is how things are done at a certain level. Because you are watching and you're learning, and because somebody is actually holding your hands and teaching you, the culture doesn't just break at a point. There's this cycle of the culture being embedded in everybody who comes in. Yes. So next slide. My time is up. I'm just trying to, yes, call to action. Now, for everybody here, whether you're a mentor or mentee, for mentees, take ownership of your development goals and objectives. It is not the duty of your mentor to come chase you. Actively seek out mentoring relationships. If there's somebody you want to be mentored by, go to them, ask them. After this meeting, do that. Definitely not me, please. My plate is full, mentoring other people. But speak to them and ask them to mentor you because of this and that you've seen about them. Come prepared with specific questions and challenges. Don't send a message to a potential mentor just saying hi or how are you, and then you wait for the mentor to answer before you go on with whatever you want to say. No, come prepared, ask specific questions, and see how the person can be of help to you. Now, for mentors, assess your readiness to commit time and emotional investment. As I said, for me, for this year, I'm at my maximum capacity, so I know I'm not ready to take on any more mentees. I need to also, or potential mentors also need to connect with their organization's formal programs. That's if you are in an organization. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur working for yourself, just a sole proprietor, you might not have a formal program, but then you can mentor people in your professional society or professional association, like the FIP. So the last thing I just want to say is that, next slide. The last thing, next slide, last. Good. A transformational mentoring relationship creates potential and exponential, creates potential for exponential impact as mentees become mentors, creating sustainable cycles of professional development and leadership. As I said, today my mentor will be so proud of me, she'll be so happy because I'm mentoring other people. And in some few years, some few months, I'll also be expecting those people I mentored to also be mentoring others. So the effect multiplies, because of the transformational mentoring relationship we developed. So if there's one thing you need to take away from here today, remember the multiplier effect. A transformational mentoring relationship has a multiplying effect. The mentor mentors you, you become a mentor in future, your mentee becomes a mentor in future, and then the cycle goes on. So thank you so much for your time today. And if there are any comments, I will take them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grace. This was a very, very interesting and enlightening session. I believe everyone who has been a part of the webinar from the start has gained a lot. So on the screen is her email address as well as her LinkedIn handle. So feel free to reach out to her. But remember that her plate is full, so perhaps next year you can reach out to her. Okay. So we have time for question and answers, just a few questions. So please, if you have a question, feel free to post it in the chat box. Yes, please feel free to post in the chat box. Would have said you should unmute, but because of the previous issues we had, please just put your questions in the chat box and we'll attend to it right now. Okay, I think I see a question. Okay. Okay, so from Emanuela, she said mentors tend to think they are masters of mentees after being nourished with the necessary respect deserving of mentors. How can mentors move from the master subordinate phase to a phase where they are professionally level-headed and mutualistic? Would you recommend this kind of relationship at all? I think this is a question for you, Dr. Grace.
Okay, great. Oh, okay. Yes, Emanuela, how can mentors move from master subordinate phase to a phase where they are professionally level-headed and mutualistic? For some people, I think it's an individual thing. So long as they see somebody they feel is, should I say, way below them, their human nature sets in. So the mentee would need to find a way of having a respectful conversation with the person such that you don't bruise their ego and you don't make them, feel they are lauding whoever or they are lauding their thoughts and whatever on you. If it's impossible, then you will need to bring in someone else to have that conversation for you. So and especially when it's a structured mentoring program, then you need to speak to the mentoring coordinators to have this conversation on your behalf. So it doesn't seem like, it's you, the mentee, is telling the mentor what to do. Yes. I believe that after such a conversation, he or she would need to sit down and rethink their ways of mentoring. I mean, I can understand you perfectly. As human as we are, sometimes we are tempted to, lord our thoughts and ideas over people, especially when we feel they are younger and they haven't treaded the path we have treaded, So I understand this situation perfectly well, but you need to have a conversation with such a person. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I hope that answers your question. Also, another question is, how do you prioritize when everything feels important?
Everything cannot feel important. I get what you mean. But when you are at that level, you need to sit down and analyze. There is this um, there is this metric table for analyzing. I've forgotten the name. It's of important but urgent, not important but urgent, important and urgent, something. It just classifies the activities you have to do in a table. So that whatever is important and is urgent, you do it now. Whatever is important but it is not urgent, you can wait so you do your important urgent task first. Yes. So trust me, sometimes on face value, it seems like everything is urgent. But when you sit down and you classify into this metric box I'm talking about, important, urgent, important, but can wait, you realize that, okay, actually, this thing can wait. You can also speak to your mentor about it if you are so overwhelmed about everything being urgent. Your mentor will be a very great resource to direct you in that regard.
Okay, thank you so much. The last question here is, joining mentorship programs can feel almost addictive. The opportunities, the networking, the validation, it's easy to keep signing up for more. But at what point does growth turn into overload? And how many can you commit to at a time?
Now, this is a very personal one. You have to assess yourself because what seems as an overload to one person may not be for another person. Personally, as I said, I'm currently at my max level for this year. I'm not anybody who has come to me after should I say June thereabouts for me to mentor them. I tell them no, please come back next year because by next year I know I would have spaced out or finished with rounded up with a lot of mentoring programs. So currently, I'm mentoring people in FIP, I'm mentoring people in another mentorship program, starting with BB. I'm coordinating a mentoring program in my mentors organization. I'm in a leadership program. At a point in the year, I was in 2 leadership programs. So definitely, knowing my strengths, I was at my maximum capacity. And we should learn to say no when you can see yourself breaking. Even when you're in a mentoring relationship and you feel that, okay, now my schoolwork is too much. Now, whatever I'm going through is too much. There is nothing wrong with you telling your mentor that, can I please have some break? It becomes a challenge when you don't tell your mentor anything and you ghost the mentor. As I said earlier in the year, my mentee was preparing for an exam and she needed time to study. So for several weeks, we were not in touch because I needed to also give, she told me she was studying for an exam. I needed to give her space to also prepare for the exam. Being wise or being self-aware is knowing that I'm preparing for an exam. I don't think I have the strength or the mind, the mental ability to have any more mentorship conversations. No, this is not what I want to do at the point. It is okay. Communicate it. Whatever you are going through, just communicate it. That is what makes the difference. There's another person who may be mentoring in 6 other organizations, and the person doesn't feel any load. That is okay. But for me, I'm at my saturated. In fact, I'm so saturated that I don't even want to hear the word mentoring. Don't start the conversation at all. So it's a very personal choice, Manuela. You need to really sit to think about whatever commitment, whatever other commitments you have going on with you. and if you can combine. And if you can't combine it, don't wait another second, please. Just drop it. The opportunity will definitely come back. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Grace. Please, can we give her a round of applause using the emojis or even in the comment section? Thank you so
Because
much.
I see one last question. What do you think about having multiple mentors?
Oh, okay, just dropped in then.
Okay, let me answer that question. There is nothing wrong with having multiple mentors. I have multiple mentors. In fact, I have a mentor that when I want to take, for lack of a better word, quote unquote, killer decisions, like I need to, take that wild decision, I call her. And she speaks sometimes, I think, this thing is too difficult. She speaks, she beats the I don't know what word to use. She beats that sweet-headedness out of me. That take that decision now. And then I have another mentor who, when I want to talk to, or if I want to talk to somebody about, managing my children and how things are so difficult, and I call her because she also has 3 kids. Her kids are not too old. She's still in that phase, that kind of thing. So she's my mentor. And then I have a mentor who mentors me solely in regulatory affairs. It is career and nothing else, So it's okay to have various mentors. They can be mentoring you in there will be something about them that makes the mentorship different. So I have a mentor who is unmarried. I have another mentor who has multiple children. I have another mentor who so it's the picture I'm trying to paint is that it's okay to have various mentors. It depends on what they are mentoring you for, So it's perfectly okay. You need to have the wisdom not to let something one person says overshadow what the other person says. So, for instance, that's my mentor who beats out the sweet-headedness out of me. Sometimes she'll give you some ideas that may not be too favorable because I have children and have a young family. But then that is where being self-aware and having wisdom myself comes in. So we have the conversation and then we meet at level ground. So it's perfectly okay to have multiple mentors.
Thank you so much for that response. I believe all questions have been answered. So please, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to reach out to us via our ETPG email, which I'll be sharing in the next slide. And you can also reach out to Dr. Grace about your questions. So once again, thank you so much, Dr. Grace, for your time. I really, really appreciate this. Was really, really interesting and enlightening because at every phase in one's life, you need a mentor. Okay, so straight ahead, I'll just be giving the closing remark. So you can reach out to us, like I earlier said, through our email. Our email is ecpg@fip.org. You can also follow us on all our social media handles. We're on LinkedIn, we're on X, also known as Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Also, you can also go back to watch the recordings through our YouTube. So yes, we have a YouTube channel. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel and be on the lookout for more webinars that will be coming your way in the coming weeks. So once again, thank you all so much for being a part of this webinar. We sure hope that you enjoyed this webinar and stay tuned for more. Thank you and have a nice day.